This podcast is part of the C-Suite Radio Network, turning the volume up on business.
Hi, this is Chris Kirkpatrick, and welcome to the Executive Job Search Secrets podcast. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to talk about something that expands beyond the boundaries of your job search. Now, it's completely relevant to your job search, but it also trickles over into almost every area of life. And in fact, it's something I learned a long time ago. If you want to be successful, you better be really good with this. And so can't wait to get into it. We all know most executive level positions are not posted or advertised. So the big question is this: if those 100K plus jobs are not posted or advertised, how do you go about your job search in a way so you can find the right companies, connect with the right people, and land your next ideal opportunity as quickly as possible and without compromise? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Chris Kirkpatrick, and welcome to Executive Job Search Secrets. All right, so the topic of today's podcast is seeking clarity. Now, I talk with a lot of people about this all the time, and in fact, seeking clarity is step number one of our 5-step process. The problem that I see that people have, or the challenge that they have, is it seems like a very vague statement. The idea of seeking clarity sounds good from a high level, but the question is, how do you create a formula to actually do it systematically? If you're anything like me, you need systems for things to be successful. Otherwise, you're probably balancing far too much in life to be able to be effective or successful at anything. And in fact, it's kind of my systems and the clarity that I have in my life that is what keeps me focused and going. So this is kind of the framework. I want to go through a framework on questions that you can ask yourself. Just really maybe a bit of a deeper dive on how to drill down and work through how to seek clarity. Because think about it this way. It's not just about your job search. Sure, your job search is super important. But the one thing that I know, because I hear it every single day, is while you're searching for your job, you're going to need to seek clarity. And I'm going to go into that. But it's also important to really seek clarity because it really taps into your why, and it's what you want and why you want it. And that impacts every other area of your life. This can be effective with your job search, and I'm encouraging you to learn it for your job search. But if you can take this same principle and absolutely apply it to any business, to any relationship, to really any endeavor that you're looking for in life. So that's why I think this is absolutely the most foundational component, not just to your job, but when I say that I want to help people find not just a job, but the job, this is really, you're going to understand a lot more. I think you're really going to be tapped into kind of my why on why I like to help people do that so much, and why it's kind of what I live for, because it really is the foundational component of living a more fulfilling life. And so let's get into it. Now, there are a couple of things that you need to do. So I have 3 pieces of the framework, a triangle, kind of a pyramid of a framework, if you will. And so the first one is you need to envision the future that you're after. So think about, what do you want your future to look like? Whether it's geography, whether it's your role, position, title, family life, how many years you want to work, and the kind of culture you want to be involved around, your physical fitness, your health, like all these things. You may not feel like they play a part of your job, but they do. They absolutely do. Secondly, determine the feeling that you're after. So how do you want to feel in the morning when you wake up every single day? How do you want to feel at the end of every day? What is it that gets you jazzed up, that gets you jacked up and fired up and feeling like you're contributing to the world, to a company? And I'm a big believer that we all get more fulfillment out of service, out of helping people, out of driving the ship, and ultimately guiding people and helping other people succeed. That's when we feel the most fulfillment, right? And so it's pretty cool. If you structure it properly, you can set yourself up, figure out, ultimately what problems you solve the best, align yourself to do that. And if you're helping other people solve their problems, and you can figure out a way to put yourself in a position where, you monetize that, I'm a big believer money follows value, right? So you could do that, then uh, obviously it's a more fulfilling scenario for you. So then you have to define what is meaningful for you. Obviously that speaks for itself. So I want to dive into some questions that you can ask yourself. I'm not going to go on a huge rant about this, even though I could literally probably list out 50 to 100 questions that you could really do a deep dive with. And in fact, that's one of the reasons that when people come on board Career Next as clients, one of the things we have them work through is a personal branding worksheet. And part of that personal branding worksheet is the Seeking Clarity section, where we do a deep dive, ask them a bunch of questions, and get them thinking about their career and their life in a way that they probably have never thought about. So I'm just going to ask you a couple right now, just to kind of get this ball rolling for you. So first and foremost, think about, what things are you absolutely clear about that help you perform better than your peers, right? That's going to help you with your brand. That's going to help you really figure out, how do you position yourself in the marketplace? That's what's going to help you ultimately separate yourself from the pack. One of the things, remember, when you are at the 6-figure level and up, 6 to 7-figure level, you're competing with people who have the same background and skill set and degrees and credentials and everything as you do, right? For the most part. And so you really have to think above and beyond that, what sets you apart, not just those commoditized traits. It's got to be more than that. So, all right, number 2, what do you focus on to stay clear about what matters to you most? A lot of times I think what happens is, and this probably happened to you, I know it certainly happened to me, and it's important to really dedicate time and focus energy on staying clear about what matters most. Otherwise, what happens is we go through the day, which turns into a week, which turns into a month, which turns into a year, and we make little micro decisions that kind of take us off course, right? And all it takes is maybe 3-4 weeks in a row of getting off course by 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree. And before you know it, you look back and you're like, wow, I'm off course here. I need to course correct. I need to figure something out. And it doesn't make any sense to compound, good time after bad. Don't get married to that. Just do the best thing for you from that point forward, right? And you have to be really clear. You have to have people you can trust. You have to have a good mentor. I'm a big believer that every single person needs to have amazing mentors and people that they can trust unequivocally. Their advice, people that can give them the hard truth, and go from there. And I tell you, I got 3 people like that in my life that I honestly don't know how I would get anything done without being able to lean on them and call them, because nothing is ever perfect. The more you push yourself, you're just always going to be pressing that comfort zone. And that's where success and growth ultimately comes from. So sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a rant there. So number 3, what aren't you clear about, right? So you got to know what you're clear about so you can stay focused on, but you also got to acknowledge what you're not clear about, and how does that affect your performance? Is it an area that you can fill a gap by learning and knowledge, and you can elevate your performance that way? Or is it something that you need to make sure you put yourself in the right position, and you got to connect yourself with the right people and surround yourself with the right people so you can be effective in what you do? The last thing you want to do is get into a position that seems great, but if you're not clear about what's holding you back, then you may have some blind spots when you go into that opportunity. And when you go there, and if those blind spots do exist and you did not identify them, obviously it's going to be a short-lived experience, or it's going to be a very struggling experience. It's going to be a very frustrating experience. So, that's a big thing, to be really clear and to be just completely honest with yourself about that. And that takes a certain level of vulnerability. And that's one of those areas I would certainly go to your mentor and ask them to help you work through it. And go find somebody that you could trust and have them help you work through it, because it's like anything else. You can't see the forest through the trees. And if you probably can't identify that 100% on your own. It's got to be people that you've worked with, that would be able to give you some honest feedback. So the next thing to do is to really be clear on, and ask yourself, I should say, is what do you do when you're feeling uncertain or undirected? What happens when you hit that place in your life where you feel like you're not going the direction that you want, where you feel a lack of guidance and uncertainty? We all have our habits. We all do certain things. Sometimes we become reactive. Sometimes we try to do too much. Sometimes we get stressed out. Sometimes we make the lives of those around us miserable. And sometimes we just try to fill that void of space and time and things to do with unproductive activities. And so being clear with what you do when you're feeling uncertain or undirected is going to, once again, help you have that awareness to avoid negative circumstances. And I bring this up because what's going to happen is during your job search, especially, and if you're starting a business and with your marriage or with anything, you're going to have circumstances where you're just going to feel uncertain about your environment, uncertain about what to do, uncertain about certain relationships, uncertain about the direction and the activities that you need to do next, how to follow up with people, all these different things, right? So the question is, what do you do when you're in that circumstance? If you know you need to call somebody, but you're not certain how to do it, or you feel undirected, you don't have the right script or anything of that nature, do you just avoid it? Or do you just try to do it? Like what is your process? Who are you? How do you handle those situations? And you need to be really true with yourself, like honest with yourself, because if you are somebody who is an avoider, which I think a lot of people are, maybe not, at the executive level that I'm talking to, but the bottom line is so many people are avoiders, even at that level, unless it's in their lane, so to speak, unless it's in their area of expertise, people just try to avoid those uncomfortable environments, those uncomfortable situations and conversations. So that's a big one to gain a lot of clarity around for yourself. So the next one I would say is for yourself, in the sense that if you had to explain to somebody that you are mentoring what it is that makes you successful, what would you say? So I'm going to ask you that right now. What is it that makes you successful? And think about that. Even if you have to pause this episode right now, think about what is it that makes you successful? Because if you can clearly communicate that and articulate that and work through it, that's going to be something that every single employer, company, decision maker is going to want to know. You're going to have to be real clear, because it's going to have a huge impact on how you can make a difference in their organization, right? And then after that, and what I'm going to end with, as far as questions to ask yourself as you seek clarity here, is what else do you know about yourself beyond your values and your strengths and your plans that make you successful? What is it that sets you apart from the crowd? What is it, that really makes you you? Like I said, don't focus on the commoditized traits. It's not your degree. It's not where you went to college. It's not, the successes that you've had in the past, because if you focus on those things, yeah, they may be great. They may help you get in the door, but they're not going to get you the job, because they're going to be talking to other people that have had the same degrees, same successes, same traits. And it's going to be you and your dynamic communication experience, and just personality, and your ability to create a relationship with them, and so many more things. But ultimately, what is it beyond your values, strengths, and plans that make you successful? And if you can really be clear about that, that's going to help you learn how to communicate what makes you different, why you're the best investment opportunity, why you're the best fit, why you understand them better than anybody else. And ultimately, it's going to set you far above and beyond anybody else who's competing with you for any job that you go into. So almost always, high performers have the ability to, or at least find a way to, focus on the future and visualize how they're going to achieve excellence. That's what they do. Now, they don't just know who they are, they know where they want to be, and they're intentional about creating a plan to get there. And that's ultimately why I created the Executive Job Search Secrets Masterclass that goes along with this. I don't want to pitch you too hard here. That's not what this podcast is about. But we ultimately work with executives every single day. We help them with all the elements of their job search. And one of the things I can tell you is there's a 5-step process that we walk every single person through. Seeking clarity is the first step to this. But I want to offer to give you a 5-step masterclass, which will walk you through step by step what all of our clients do to find their ideal position in the shortest time possible. And so, if you, all you have to do is go through this. If you look in the description below, there'll be a link there. You can go down and literally all you have to do is go down and click the button. It'll bring you to a page. You can have access for free, no charge, no anything, to have access to this course. And my only hope is that it helps you out. And if it brings up more questions, by all means, let me know, and I'll create podcast episodes on it. And I hope, I just hope, obviously, that you get as much out of it as possible and that we can serve you in the best way possible. So anyway, that's it for today's episode. I hope that helped. I hope that gave you some guidance and a system around seeking clarity about your job search. But once again, I'm a guy that owns multiple companies. This is my favorite one. It's where my passion is. I love helping people solve problems, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do if this wasn't at the focal point of every single one of my days. I start off every single day going through Brendan Burchard's High Performance Planner. If you're not familiar with that, I will put a link in the description here as well, and I will add the High Performance Planner link in there where you can get it on Amazon. It's amazing. If you are somebody that is, obviously in your job search right now, or even if you're running your business, this High Performance Planner is how I live my life, and it will increase your effectiveness. People come up to me all the time and they're like, Chris, how do you get so much done every single day? I mean, I'm producing 3 podcast episodes every week. I'm producing, a ton of YouTube videos every week. We're creating websites and helping, all these different people, meeting with clients and helping run a team of resume writers and doing all these different things, helping people in so many different areas. And it's all because I'm being very intentional. I start my day with this High Performance Planner, and it's just amazing. So I'm going to put a link below, and you can go from there. But anyway, I hope you go out there. You have a blessed, inspirational day, and I can't wait to talk to you on the next podcast. Are you tired of struggling with your job search? Are you having a hard time connecting with key decision makers, or struggling with knowing how to communicate your brand more effectively? Or maybe there's something else holding you back. Either way, our team is here to help and would love to give you a free 30-minute consult to hear about what you're doing, what you're looking for, and give you some advice on how to get there more effectively. All you have to do is go to www.careernextagency.com, and we'll talk to you soon.
Like what you just heard? Visit c-suiteradio.com. C-Suite Radio, turning the volume up on business.